This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 132. Does the money have to matter? Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, especially if you're new, but if you're also a veteran and you're struggling and you know you need something strategic for either of you, I have created a free strategic plan that's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. Get over there, get your free copy, and at least download the infographic that answers Michael Gerber's question. Michael Gerber being the author of the E-Myth for Small Business People. He's a guru. You answer the question, how's the business work? So I put it in one infographic for you and then a follow-up video series that will get you more strategic, and that matters. All right, does the money have to matter? Look, I'm fresh off of a sales training call here at the Realty Classroom, and this subject came up, and no better time to memorialize my thoughts in a podcast than right after the real work. See, we don't guess around here. This is in theory. We go to work, we roll up our sleeves, and we actually do this. So in coaching a new agent today, on the Realty Classroom's sales training. By the way, if you want to go hear that, it will be posted on our Facebook and our YouTube site for you right now. You can go see it because we record them live. But we talked about this, and let me start off with the first point here. I see money coming up a lot as in the way it affects us. And so the first point I wrote down here was your money paradigm matters. In other words, your relationship with the concept of money. And really, I want you to take a beat. And I know everybody wants more money. Well, not so. Not everybody does want more money. Some people don't like money. They have a negative paradigm. Money is the root of all evil, say some. Money lets you do anything, including good, say others. So, those are money paradigms, the way that we see it. And I think I've always been probably one of those folks that thought money was, well, not evil, but it's a pain in the neck, right? Because we're always chasing it, and there's never enough of it, right? It's a dilemma. Money's a dilemma. So your paradigm, it's good to get conscious about this. I've been talking about this a lot in coaching lately, and with my kids for that matter, is to become aware. Become more aware. It's a practice of awareness. See, the subconscious mind runs most of what we do. And I've talked about this in multiple episodes here, that the way that you see the world, including money, that's how your business gets manifested. So the business that you have today is a direct manifestation of the way you think about money, business, and the way things work. So it's good always on this podcast to set yourself up to becoming conscious about something. You don't have to agree with me. You can argue with me. Whatever you want to do. But I'm trying to provoke thought here that makes you think about the way things really are in your life and there subsequently in your business. So your money paradigm does matter. I coach people who are independently wealthy, but they're very driven to be successful as an entrepreneur. And money, ironically, you would think, well, they can just buy their way to success. Well, their money paradigm isn't that. They have money for a reason. They protect it covetously. And sometimes they're even afraid to reinvest it. So you have to understand a money paradigm is something you should make conscious in your world. In other words, how do you feel about it? And then ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Because we're going to have to deal with the concept of money. And if I take the concept of money and I talk about cash inflow and cash outflow, that is a business concept that any independent contractor, meaning especially most of you listening to this, majority, we are independent contractors as real estate agents, so we are responsible for a business. Even if you hang your license at somebody else's brokerage, they're just a partner. That business is a partner with your business, your independent contractor business. Technically, they can't tell you what to do and when to do it. So you have to understand, now that sets you up as a business owner, the concept of cash flow, money, flowing out, expenses to get you leads, to convert to prospects, to turn into clients, to take through a closing process, and you might pay a closing coordinator. Money outflows again. So there's all this outflow, and at the end, the sale brings the inflow of money, and hopefully, presumably that you're in a profitable marketplace. For all that effort, you can turn the property over and turn a profit on every deal. And if not, something's really wrong. So the money paradigm that you have, how you see it is one thing to deal with. But the next is the reality of what I just said. Cash outflows and then inflows, and that turns into money that is hopefully let's put the term on it, profit, meaning it's a positive number. Not meaning that, hey, I spent way more and I still owe. Like you look to your credit card and you say, well, I got the profit. No, you put everything in a credit card and you didn't pay it off. So that's all about this money paradigm. But now I'm going to go to the other side of what matters in business, and that's your why. So what I wrote down is your why is your central energy source. If you just look at money as almost like a score of the game, you lose or goals are scored against you as you expend money, and then you score as it comes back in, right? But then there's a reason why you're doing this at all. Why did you start as a real estate agent? Why did you start running a real estate agency? Why? Why does the body of work matter to you? You could choose to do anything really to make a living at. I mean, these days, especially with the internet allowing you to make a living online, you can move places easily, whatever it might be. You have to have a real why. In fact, when we hire at our brokerage or when somebody comes to me for coaching, why? Why do you want to be coached by me? What is the reason? I'm not interested in just taking you on as a client and taking your money because I need to be successful. Because the why I do real estate agency, helping sellers, buyers, and agents, and then coaching to go outside the bounds and the limitations of that brokerage out to help people all across the United States and Canada was where I focus right now. Maybe it goes further than that. But my why is to be a person for others. And because I have a lot of expertise in this industry, I can serve. So I was talking today to a young gal who's new to the business, and she has a really, really powerful why. When she was in a dark place in this concept of housing as safety mattered to her, she felt like nobody should ever feel like that. Housing should be a right. And I don't know her full deep story and the details, but I get it. I mean, there's a big why there. And coming into the industry, that's awesome. That energy propels her to be one of our best students. I mean, she works for one of the teams that I coach, and she has learned all the seller course, the buyer course. She's actually gone out and done some marketing to get into real conversations about real estate. She's procured already her first buyer. Bravo, like 5 gold star student. And the why is that energy source. It's driving her. However, today, when she came on for some coaching, what she brought me was something that I didn't quite expect, that she had partnered up with somebody. So she'd gone in there and actually teamed up. So this whole concept you all hear about team. You better be careful of that. Here's another moment to bring this conscious, okay? When you team up with somebody, you take the money and you split it in half. Now, most of you think about splitting the commission or the inflow of cash. None of you think about the outflow of cash. You do, but you don't. Because presuming you team up with somebody else, you should be splitting all expenses 50-50. You should be splitting the work effort 50-50. And you should be splitting the profit 50-50. That's a really hard thing to corral and keep together. So while this gal was following all these programs and doing them perfectly and procuring her first thing, all of a sudden out of nowhere I hear, and I teamed up with this gal and we're going to go forward. And I said, whoa, you did what? And now this becomes a very tough coachable moment because I love these people that will give me the trust to go at it with their paradigms and trust me to challenge them. And it's going to make them emotional. And several people got emotional today because when you start getting into the why, a lot of people are doing this, they get emotional. Because a lot of them were birthed into independent contractor business for some very powerful reason. And when you agitate that or you provoke that and you make them think about it consciously, it's no different from therapy. There's emotion. So you have to make them feel safe in that conversation. Hopefully you feel safe in this. Is that if you have a big why to serve, and I do. I mean, I left corporate America to be an independent contractor, just a business person, an entrepreneur. And back then the internet wasn't a thing. right? That's how long I've been around. And so it was a lot of dark days trying to figure it out and what business, how do you serve people? That's why I was attracted to real estate. I'm like, aha, that's where you can serve people with the single largest financial and emotional transaction most will ever make in a lifetime. That sounds like a good gig for the type of person that I am. So I went in that direction, and I'm empathetic to them because it's emotional when you leave something that you know is profitable, but it's just not a big enough why. So for me, I believe that the central energy source of your why is everything. Don't do something in life. I taught all 5 of my kids, still teach them. If you could do one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? And if that thing doesn't serve this deep why, it's not for you. And maybe you're listening to this and you're wondering if real estate is for you. That's a fair question. But let's presume it is. So we've got these money paradigms we're now conscious of, our own and the money paradigm that relates to cash inflow and outflow of a business that leads to profit or loss. And then we've got this energy source that's driving us to try to figure this out, okay? So the question really is, do they conflict, right? That's does the money have to matter was the question of this, right? I really could have named it. Does the money conflict with your why? So the third point here is, when your why takes over management, then business profit problems abound. So let me go to this. Sometimes, I can give you multiple examples. Let me go to top producers. I'll go to another example for a second. There are a lot of top producers who their big why is to serve their family and not be beholden to a corporate structure. So they're very entrepreneurial. They're extremely aggressive. They have a big why, their family, putting food on the table. And they're very, very, very serious about it. And my fellow top producers I've met in this industry, man, there's some just super people, super entrepreneurs, driven. But when that why gets that emotional, and now management, that why starts to seep into management, what we lose is logic. What we lose is patience. What we lose is the ability to ask, why am I doing this next thing? Why is that important to me? And the big one that Gerber challenges us with is, do you know how the business even works? Or are you just doing these things based on your why? That's a top producer dilemma and problem. How do I know that? I lived until I finally started to understand what Gerber was, why he was asking this. If you don't know how something works, you better go to work on that. Because if your why makes you emotional, you start to manage it based on emotion and not logic and fact, not immutable business laws. That's why I started telling you, it's an immutable law of business that you throw cash away to make something happen so it comes back in and you turn a profit or a loss, period. That's an immutable law of business. Small, big, medium, doesn't matter. It's the way it works. So when you look at that, whether it's small or big, you're managing that. And so you heard what I said about the top producers. Well, they're just looking for more. So once they cover, hey, my big why is to put food on the table. I've done that now. Now I want more. I want my kids to go to private schools. I want to take vacations with my family. So they start to get emotional about that next level of lifestyle for their family. And what do? They go out and buy this website and that lead generation platform. More leads, they say. Well, that's an emotional management approach. Let me go to the new agent that I was referring to. So now she gets emotional, and what she doesn't see, but I see, after thousands of hours of doing this, I see fear. I see that snapback to that dark place that she came from where safety, she says, was an issue, the feelings of safe, and that housing should be a right. Some powerful lines there. But I know that as you start to get successful and you don't know what you don't know, you grab onto somebody and you hope that they're going to be the ones that help you. When really in the Realty classroom, the body of work is to teach them systematic approach that they can rely on so they can propel their own self-image up. It doesn't mean that we don't want camaraderie, culture, support. We want all those things. But we want to serve the human first to be empowered, to empower other people because the why is big. So we must go back to logic. So this concept of teaming up with somebody, which I brought up in the beginning, it actually takes the inflow of cash and cuts it in half. So let's presume that it wouldn't be a bad scenario, presuming we had two equally work ethic driven people They were both going to do 50% of 40 hours, for example. Just make up the math. They were going to do that. And they were going to split 50% of the marketing. And every lead that came in, they were going to split them 50-50. And then they were going to convert at the same rate. See the problems I'm already getting into here? You're trying to hold everything and control everything, and that's not the way business works. There's too many variables. So this 50-50 partnership gets pressure. That's why you hear a lot of people have problems when they got into a partnership in this business. It eventually doesn't work because there's lopsidedness in one way or another. So what started as, oh, I'm in this business to serve these people just like you. Isn't this great? See what I mean? We make these emotional management decisions. Again, it is not mutually exclusive to be a good company mate. Right? We're at the same company. We have a lot in common. We're covering the same area. We can support each other. We don't have to have a mentality of scarcity. We can have a mentality of plenty where we help each other with each other's business. But we don't have to get so emotional and scared. We're like, oh, I feel so much better when you're with me. Well, you call him. I'm a little bit afraid. See, we start to back off of the things that really we should be doing to get to know the business. Right? And what it's doing is it's perpetuating a smaller image or self-image of you, the agent, as a true business owner. What happens if your partnership breaks up and you were the one that never did open houses? You were the one that never called the lender. Now all of a sudden you're right back where you started to begin with. So that was my problem. And I gave you two analogies. The top producer who gets so emotional that they want to keep climbing the ladder that they make these strange emotional why decisions. And then the newbie who may be out of fear. Maybe they're both driven by fear, but they're mistakes. Because against the backdrop of the way a business really works, we need to be obsessive about cash outflow, inflow, and profit or loss. Very simple. It's not going away. Okay, so you don't want to start to screw it up and move towards loss or this desperation to just drive revenue without paying attention to all this massive cost you're incurring. You're not getting better at the game. Okay, so you either start off incorrectly and cause a problem or you're perpetuating it as a top producer. I serve both those types of avatars in this work at the Realty Classroom. So I'm saying and I'm begging you, go to freeagentgift.com and just get a simple printout of the way that the business really works, which I came up with based on Michael Gerber's work, the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. It's pretty darn close to the big chunks that are in there. You could argue with me and tweak it, whatever you want to do. Leave your insecurities at home and just humor me. There is a way the business works. So new or veteran, pay attention to being strategic, because strategic approach and planned approach and calming down and having some patience for process, getting over fear, leaning in when the dog bites, that leads to a more sustainable, predictable business, which is what you really want to begin with. We all do, right? That's a universal statement. Who doesn't? Now, the last piece of this is how do you reconcile all this, right? Well, you must realize that your drive to service, that's what we're in. We're in the service business. So your drive to service or serve is not in conflict with your business's need to profit. Okay? Let me go back and explain this, what this line means. I told you that what drives me is that I want to be a person for others. It's a concept I learned back in college. I was taught that as a foundational piece of the college I went to. My sons actually attended a school where it says men for others at the front door. So it's important to me. I think the most certain way I can live a self-fulfilling life is to serve others. To me, I get high, I get filled up, I get re-energized. You think you're getting older, and next thing you know, you help somebody, you empower somebody, and you're re-energized, you feel younger, right? So that's a drive to serve or my service. And I think that most of you that have a real why, I'm not saying circumstantially we're all the same. Meaning, as that gal was telling me her story, she went through a dark place and struggled. I didn't necessarily go through a dark place. I just was trying to, to struggle. Do I do corporate America? And that's why I left corporate America. I wasn't seeing the service. I wasn't really seeing who we were serving in the finance business. I mean, I certainly knew that we were managing people, but did we really know the teachers who had their money in these pension funds that we were, helping be invested? No, there was zero connection. So I couldn't make the connection. Loved the business, just was missing the why. The connection wasn't there. So when you look at that service drive, there are a lot of people in this business because we are helping with shelter, and you're helping with average Joe and Jane who are looking to buy a house or a home. That's a big deal. To be able to get them through all their emotions and the financial aspects of this. It's a big calling too, by the way. So when you come in there and you look at that, you can start off by going, I'd love that. I love real estate. I love the sense of home, safety. I can do that. Great. But your presumption is all of a sudden when you say, and the money doesn't matter. That's a problem because it does matter. And if you want to serve more people, you are going to have to do this profitably or it's going to get old pretty fast, right? I mean, unless you're willing to write checks to this business like it's a profit, I mean, like it's a charity, then that's real bad money paradigm stuff. Stop it. Don't do it to yourself. Go work for a charity. If money truly doesn't matter and the check that the charitable organization pays you just to show up covers your basic rent, car, insurance, etc., great, then go live that lifestyle. But the minute you sign up for real estate agency, don't say that. This is not a 501(c) charitable organization. This is a for-profit, hopefully an S corporation if you're out there, a sole proprietorship, whatever you operate under, and it needs to be profitable. Because if you want to serve more people, think about it this way. If you can turn a profit on one deal, and you can take a sliver of that and reinvest it back in reaching out to more people like that you can serve. Let's say in the case of the gal who was, struggling to find housing for whatever reason. Well, think about all the divorcees that are out there, people that are in a situation of abuse, whatever. There's a lot of people that really seriously need the help of a young woman like this. And how's she going to get the marketing message out to those people if she's losing money? What if her funds personally are limited? See what I mean? It's just indirect conflict. So I want you to understand that, well, that's indirect conflict, but not the service and the profit, okay? Losing money is in direct conflict with your ability to continue to serve, whereas making money is in direct support of your ability to serve more. There's the key point, all right? So let me go back and go over these things. Really important today. Does the money have to matter? Yes. So how do you deal with it? Well, first of all, question and make conscious, bring to a conscious level your own money paradigm. Are you in a war with the concept of money? Do you even understand cash inflow and outflow and profit and loss? That's just 4 terms. And then you have the basics of business, right? Simple math. Understand that, bring it to a conscious level. And your why that you're doing real estate agency. Why are you doing this business? That's a really important question because that's the central energy source that will keep you listening to this podcast, learning from me, going out and practicing it, walking through the obstacles. If you have a big, it's almost like the sun. Your why is the sun at the center of your world, and that's going to propel you to a successful business, okay? However, the third point is when your why or that big energy source takes over managing the pragmatic, practical, black and white cash inflow, cash outflow, profit or loss, then business profit problems abound. Why? Because I gave you those examples. The top producers tend to produce so aggressively chase after more lifestyle that they're not even thinking about the true balance and the sustainability of them just rushing to spend more money to make more, right? It's a very, very difficult thing, painful for me to watch. And the newbie starts to think that, money doesn't matter at all. I just do this for the love of it. No, you don't. You can't. It just doesn't work. And last, you must realize that your drive to service, be of service, is not in conflict with your business's need to profit. All right, let me summarize it this way. Many real estate agents begin their careers with a very strong emotional drive to serve. However, their big why might often lead them to believe that the money doesn't matter, however it does. The first step to reconciling the why and the money is to realize that they can and must coexist. All right, now remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction if you knew, a better direction if you're a top producer, with a copy of our free strategic plan. It's waiting for you over at freeagentgift.com. And again, if you do nothing else but print out for yourselves the infographic, which is 1 page, it shows you against Michael Gerber's E-Myth model how the business really works. And I think that's very helpful. I wish somebody kicked me upside the head with it when I first started. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So remember to turn on the page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, and you won't miss the reminders. Would also appreciate it if you would comment on our posts. We know what you're thinking, and we could talk to you. So now, then we can further help you, right? Simple. Talk to me, and I'll talk to you. All right. Now listen, I end the same way all the time. I appreciate you listening. I'm humbled by your listening. But remember, nobody's coming for you. So you have to go take action to get to work on your own business. And I will be here helping you do so in the next episode. Thanks for listening.